Yeah, that this is the point where I should put this little graphic on. You shouldn't see me before the graphic, but what you gonna do? Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 76th episode of the longest tenured weekly Nuggets podcast, hosted by a guy born in the sign of Libra. By the way, fun fact, in the sign of Libra is the title of the only jazz standard composition written by a guy from Serbia. And another fun fact, that guy is not me, is the great late Duško Gojković. Go check it out. It's amazing. Now that was a digression. Sorry about that. Welcome to the DNVR Nuggets' Serbian Corner. My name is Miroslav, and I'm here to talk about the very eventful week in the Nuggets universe. The good guys first traveled to Georgia, and I'm not talking about the homeland of Goga Bitadze. I'm talking about Georgia, which has a city called Atlanta within its borders. One of the worst defensive teams hosted the Nuggets, offering many easy buckets over Trae Young. So naturally, Jamal Murray used that game to get in rhythm and have his best scoring game of the season. Jokić was quiet, but also good, which was a big upgrade compared to being loud and bad like he was the week before. That is why Bogdan Bogdanović won the Serbian Player of the Game award after scoring 40 points with 10 three-pointers included. It was a get-right game for Aaron Gordon, but all those positives wouldn't matter if we didn't get Jay Straw's best performance of his young career. Zeke Naji returned to the rotation and was not great, not terrible, and that's all you need from him. In the end, a relatively easy win on the road, even though our boys toyed with our feelings after letting a 17-point lead evaporate late in the fourth quarter. Not even 24 hours later, the NBA champions were facing a sub-mediocre Chicago Bulls in Windy City. Jamal was out due to a new ankle injury he sustained early in the Atlanta game. It took hours of driving in heavy traffic and hundreds of dollars for each one of the thousands of Jokić fans in the stands to come for a Serbian Heritage Night and watch Nikola dominate in a game of basketball. But this is a new age NBA, and one of the refs didn't like being called a mother fudger after a missed call, so naturally the reigning finals MVP, got to play for only 16 minutes, and that was kind of unbelievable. There is something special about this team, though. No peanut butter and jelly, no problem. Reggie Jackson was amazing again, backed up by MPJ, a rejuvenated AG, and also Jay Straw, who is getting closer to a circle of trust, plus Christian Braun, and of course, DeAndre Jordan, aka Giant Honey. Yeah, that's how we're going to call him from now on. 48 hours later, it was the Yokmas Eve. The Knicks came to town, but it was their second night on a back-to-back, so coach Jacques Vaughn decided to spread the minutes among the all available players in an effort to survive the high air. So it was one of the most carefree wins for the Nuggets in recent history. Jokić had a triple-double in 3 quarters. Jamal and Reggie played well. Gordon was enforcing near the rim again. P. Watt, CB, and Jay Straw combined for 36 points off the bench. It was a beautiful night of Nuggets basketball. Last and really least, OKC came to town. Denver kicked their asses earlier this season, and for the big part of this game, it looked like it would happen again. This was probably the first game where the absence of KCP, even with everybody else available, really showed. The Nugs did keep SGA in check for a big chunk of this game, but several unserious plays at the end of game caused that they couldn't keep up with him and score at the other end. The championship defense completely disappeared in the last few minutes, so every turnover and missed shot tanked their chances of winning. At the very end, Shea had a shot for the win. He made it, and the Nuggets conceded their second home loss of the season. Now, I'm a glass half full kind of guy. I'm really not, but I want to be one right now. So instead of grieving after home loss, I want to emphasize that this week was one shot away from being perfect, and we take those kinds of results in life all the time. All right, it is time to bring in some reinforcements. First, a guy that entered our lives as the best NBA Twitter receipts cashier, but then turned into the undisputed champion of Nuggets trivia, calling from the Eastern time zone. It's Wade. Welcome back to the show.
It's good to be back. Good to be back. I like the intro.
You're still sleeping on the laurels of winning, yeah?
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. I'm an elite front runner, that's for sure.
So last summer was so great, dunking on so many Philly, Phoenix, and other fans. But I kind of got into a place of peace. Uh, Whatever those people say now just makes me smile. A couple of days ago, a fan tweeted that Embiid actually has the highest PER in history this season. And all I can say to that is, it's cute. Like, let's see him in April again. Do you have a similar evolution in your?
Yeah, I feel like the regular season, especially with a player like Embiid, I'm not going to say he's tricking anybody. Player health is a thing. He has things going on in the postseason, and that the system that he's in isn't the best. But he's just beating up on all the bad teams right now and inflating his stats. I wouldn't call it stat padding, but just in the terms of who they're going against, he's doing what he's supposed to do.
I
But
call
yes,
what he's doing. I'm calling stat optimizing. He's
yeah,
optimizing it by not playing good teams. That's pretty
right.
smart.
So, but seeing him point out the same stats that Jokic just dominated over the last 3 years, and now they're starting to put some stock into it. It's just funny because you know now they see it, although it really doesn't mean anything because the playoffs is a different game. But whatever small wins they can get, I'll let them have it. But it doesn't bother me none at this point.
I completely agree. Okay, let me introduce now a true hooper, a Colorado native who became a content specialist for prep hoops. But most importantly, he is the most beloved DNVR Nuggets fellow in Serbia. And I've seen it with my own eyes. I'm not exaggerating. It's Dusan Jovanovic, aka Duvalier Dev Superstar Johnson. Dev, how's life?
I truly can't believe that you said I'm a Colorado native because I now have my Serbian passport. So oh no, I'm a Serbian. I'm a Serbian, not only at heart, but it's official.
I consider you a man of two motherlands. So you're a man of the world, really.
Absolutely, absolutely. How are you?
Pretty good, pretty good. Tell me one thing before we begin with all the Nuggets talk. Give me one name in Colorado hoops, high school or college, we should expect big things from in the future.
Andrew Crawford. He plays for Thunder Ridge High School. He just committed to Colorado University. They're actually recruiting in state as of late, and that's pretty big for the state. But yeah, I think that he's going to be really good. Moving forward.
Which position does he play?
He's a point guard. He's a tall point guard, a big guard, about 6'5", athletic lefty that just does whatever he wants on the court. He's been playing for all 4 years, and he's going to go over to CU and be able to play.
We like those guys. We could have another big point guard in these parts. Okay, so let's now move to last night. What the hell happened last night? Like, the Nuggets played really well for like 45 minutes of the play time, when everybody was just getting ready to gather their popcorn and stuff and just go home and find their car in the parking lot. They just started, vomiting all over themselves, and at the end they lost the game. But this is not the first time the Nuggets didn't excel in the clutch this season. I looked up the net rating of Nikola Jokić because he is a guy who is always a part of key clutch five guys units in the last 6 seasons, and they have been a big plus in all of the last 5 seasons in clutch, like from plus 7.1, which was 2 seasons ago, to plus 27.1, which was last season actually. And this season we are seeing them being we are seeing him being a minus 10.4 net rating in clutch. Dev, do you have a theory why the Nuggets are not playing as well in close games like they did previously?
Yeah, I think that like the last game, for instance, they just kind of took their foot off the gas, not playing with the same type of, hey, we have to play with that same type of hunger. And also, I think there's a bit of like teams not figuring it out, but like already seeing it so many times that they're like, hey, this is what they like to go to in these type of situations. Or let's try to throw Jokić off by giving him different looks. We're going to send double teams, or we're going to just have a guy roaming in different ways like that. So I do think that there's different times that people are throwing things at him, and it's just like wrinkles that he's not used to or just ready for at that moment.
Yeah, wait. Do you think it was just the fact that Oklahoma City decided to force Nikola hard doubling him into a passer and just spraying for the other guys not to hit shots?
Yes, I think it was a lot of that, but also I feel like Jokić got kind of passive in the fourth quarter. He was not taking the shots that he was hitting earlier in the game, or that we're just so accustomed to him hitting when he is aggressive. And I think a little bit is that he has not been making every single shot. So like your confidence is a bit down, but he wanted to get other people involved in that game. So they wanted him to make the extra pass. He made the extra pass. You're going to settle for that. But you also got to give your, kudos to the Thunder. They responded after every single big shot that Denver made. And Jokić made some very, very good progressions, made good passes, and guys were hitting shots. They just were poised. They decided to come back down and hit their shots. And really, I think it was just a mixture of both. But Thunder played well, and they responded well.
So wait, last time they met the Thunder, they destroyed them because they kept Shai Gilgeous-Alexander really in check. I think he had like 18 points in that game or something like that. His like lowest point total of the season by that point. Do you think they just oversaw the Thunder as a very dangerous team in the clutch? So this is why they had it slip away?
No, I mean, I think the Thunder, they've been a good team so far this year overall. I think Denver kind of like punched them in the mouth the last time they seen them, and the Thunder kind of remembered that. And then also with there being no KCP in the clutch time last night, that really showed last night because Jalen Williams and Shai were able to get to wherever they wanted on the floor, and there was nothing Denver could really do about it. And they forced the defense to collapse, and they were making the right plays to Chet or whoever to finish at the rim. And even when the Nuggets were up 10 points, 9 points, they just kept making the right plays at the other end. So I don't think the Nuggets took them lightly, but it's just a really good basketball team that also wanted to win.
Dev, do you find OKC as a real like top 3, top 4 team in the West right now?
No, I don't think top 4 team. I do think that they're really talented, and I think that their future is really bright. I think that they are going to make progressions to get there. So like maybe they're a couple years out from that. But right now, no. But I do think that they are they're hungry. They really want to get there. They have the team to get there. They have good defense. They turn teams over. Everybody seems to know what they're supposed to do out there. And then they have a superstar in SGA. So they have what it takes to get there, just not there quite yet.
I love Chet Holmgren so much, man. Like he's a plastic man. It's crazy the kinds of blocks he's getting. Like I'm actually sorry that he didn't get the 9 blocks, but I believe it was 8 blocks at the end. They took away one of his blocks. It was really impressive what he did last night. Kudos to him. Okay, let's now move to the Chicago game and Jokic's ejection there. But it had an evolution. Before that happened, he already had one ejection that was, pretty fairly given to him. How do you guys feel about his level of frustration, and is it warranted when you see him play every night? Let's start with Wade on this one.
Yeah, I think his frustration is warranted at this point. Being a Nuggets fan and seeing the whistle that we get as a team over the years, even when we didn't have a Jokić on our team, We kept hearing the thing, well, when you win, you'll get those calls, or you have to earn that kind of respect to get to that level. So with Jokic, back-to-back MVPs and then Finals MVP, winning the championship, and then coming into this season and seemingly getting a worse whistle than he had last year, and teams kind of know that, and they're getting away with some calls even when he doesn't have the ball in his hand. So I definitely think it's warranted, and it's I'd rather him try to make a point now and take a stand now to at least try to help it as the season progresses, instead of letting it boil over when we need him, when the season gets really tough.
Yeah, I think it's definitely warranted. The thing is, it's not new. Like, this is frustration that's been brewing for years now, where he feels like he's not getting a fair whistle, or he feels like he's, getting abused out there, and the refs are just kind of letting it happen. And other teams are aware of that, like Wade said. Other teams know that they could get away with a bit more on Jokic. We haven't even got to the point where he's getting all those crazy scars. Like, that's still coming. He gets fouled a lot, and he's a player that he does get frustrated when he's not getting those. So he's going back and forth with the refs all the time. He's talking to the refs before the games to try to win them over and things like that. But it's also the way that he plays. He's not flailing every single time he shoots it. He's not looking to try to get become a foul merchant or anything like that. So when you're a tough guy, you just don't get it the exact same way. So I feel like him and LeBron are in the same token of they should be going to the free throw line a lot more than they do. It's just one is like going to argue and he's going to scream at you for not making those type of calls.
Now that you mentioned that, do you feel that he has more problems with younger, less experienced refs, or is it maybe like some kind of concentrated effort from all the refs to like clean up the foul baiting or stuff like that this season? Dev?
I think that they're getting tricked. Like, the refs are so used to getting tricked. There's so many foul merchants throughout the NBA where they're seeing guys fall to the ground. They're seeing guys get their arms, caught under another person and still trying to get the shot off. And there's so many of those like that you're seeing every single night. When you have a person that doesn't do those things or a team that doesn't do those things, it doesn't look the same. You're like, yeah, you're not even trying to get those calls. You're not being as aggressive as I'm seeing everyone else. So I don't think it has anything to do with like younger or anything like that. I just think that they're so used to what a real foul looks like in their eyes that's how they're calling the games.
So wait, I was pissed off when Nikola got ejected in Chicago because it was like I don't know, 3 a.m. in Serbia, and I was watching live, and I was like, oh man. But I can imagine people in the stands felt a bit more pissed than I did, because I could have just shut down the game and go to sleep, even though I didn't. But what does the league? I mean, should the league penalize refs for acting like that?
I think there should be some sort of penalties or suspensions, or I think it has to be public. If there is something, like, I think the fans deserve to know what's happening with the officials, the same way we know what's happening with the players when they step out of line or do something they're not supposed to do. I mean, because it's in the first half of that game last night. It's the only time he's in Chicago, and the fans didn't get to see him do what he's done. So I definitely think, although it doesn't change what happened, if I can walk away from something knowing like, all right, cool, so we can all agree, and it's been documented that wasn't the right choice to make, at least you'll feel better about it, and at least the referees will be less inclined to be willing to throw a player out. Just one tech and immediate toss from just running up the court and yelling something at an official, like that's insane.
So, Dev, do you think that big media responded well on this situation, calling out the ref?
Absolutely. Because of what it really means. You just talked about like the biggest thing. This is entertainment. There were people that spent their money to go to that game. It was Serbian night, so you tried to build the Serbian following to come out there. They were booing at a away arena. Like, that goes to show you how much that meant to see that. And then also the big push right now is for stars to be playing. You don't want to have stars sitting, when they get there. Well, you just showed that you're going to make a star sit over something that was pretty small. That really had to do with like pride. You just don't do those type of things. And I'm glad that the national guys called it out, because now they're starting to see like he is not getting, the right type of whistle. And that's not just because he's a star, but you do have to give him some type of superstar. He's a superstar in this league. So you need to just treat him as such, because he is the one that's bringing all the attention.
Okay, I think we've dealt with this subject enough throughout this week. So let's take one short break, and then we'll move to the Yokmas Eve game night. Don't go anywhere. Okay, back to Yokmas Eve. So we had the Nets in the R arena. Nikola was back to his efficient self. He had a triple-double in 3 quarters, like 8 of 12 from the field, finally shooting well. But the biggest story for me of this game was actually the trio of Peyton Watson, Christian Braun, and Julian Strawther playing great minutes. All of them played like 20-plus minutes and were really, really good in that game. Wade, how would you compare their seasons so far? How would you rank them in your circle of trust? Like, is it the starters, then Reggie, and then these 3 guys, or how do you do it?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that'll be the ranking for me. Of course, the starting 5, and then Reggie is that first man off the bench, and then those 3, I would say Christian Braun first, and then Julian is a close second, and then Peyton's third. I mean, Peyton, with him, it's the range of how well or how bad he can look, even in the course of a single game, is very noticeable. And for me, I kind of like the, knowing what to expect from certain guys. So what Julian and CB gives us, I feel like we can count on that more so than what Peyton gives us on both overall. Defensively, Peyton's been locked in so far, in my opinion, but the other side of the floor leaves, there's a lot to wonder there.
Mine's actually changed on that. Peyton is up there now for me, and that's way different than beginning of the year. I did not expect him to take so big of a leap, and you can see it with how Malone is put him in the games now. I think that of course it goes starters Reggie, because that's how they come into the game. But now Peyton is doing it on both ends of the floor, but also his defensive impact just seems like a bit more than Christian right now. I think Christian is still trying to find his footing. But the defensive ceiling for Peyton is just so high. He's able to guard, the actual guards, but also the bigger guards as well. He can step out and defend a wing, while also getting himself going on offense. So I think that I'm starting to love that part of him. And then Christian, and then Julian. But that makes sense. Julian's the rookie here. And then I just feel like Christian and Peyton swapped.
Yeah, that's interesting, because before the season started, we were sure that Christian would be the 6th guy. Nobody was talking about Reggie at all. And now we see that Christian is actually he's scoring more points than he did last season. Like a lot more points. He was not very, very offensive oriented last season. But on the other hand, it looks like Michael Malone does not have the same kind of trust in him as he did in the playoffs and late last season. So it's more like a mid-season, last season form for him right now. Are you, Dev, surprised by the fact that he's not a runaway first guy out of this trio right now?
Not really, honestly, because I feel like he's more of a specialist. Like his is just straight defense. So I feel like that's just a bit different. Also, he does not shoot the ball as well. So offensively, he's pretty limited. And then you just don't have to call for him as much because there is the wing presence. But with Peyton Watson, like, he can put the ball on the floor. He is a specialist on defense, but he's also starting to operate his game. He's a playmaker that wants to run the floor. So I think he just adds a few different elements. But that is not where I was to start the year. So it's not like, hey, I seen this coming. I did not.
Yeah, wait, were you surprised? I mean, it's a dumb question. Before the season, I was afraid that Peyton Watson might be the biggest fog of war that Calvin Booth put on league, because he was propping him up a lot, and I was like, is he really thinking that Peyton is going to be that great this season? It felt really early to me, but after 25, 26 games, we can actually see Peyton Watson being really talented on offense, on top of being like one of the top 5 on-ball defenders right now in the league.
Yeah, I mean, like offensively, I do notice he's learning how to play, within the Nuggets system, and also just, I mean, you could tell his skills are just super raw, even at this point. So just learning how, playing the deep corner, cutting to the rim at the right time, and finishing, above everybody else. The 3 balls falling for him over the last couple of games, which is a nice sign if he can be a more consistent shooter. But yeah, going into the season, the way Calvin talked about him, I thought that was a long shot. But time and time again, Calvin kind of shows us that he really knows what he's doing up there.
Dev, how would you rank these 3 guys in terms of ball handling and playmaking?
The young guys?
Yeah, the 3 young guys.
Really, they are not in positions that they have to play make much. So we haven't got to really see too much of it. I would probably say, as of right now, I will go Julian, Peyton, Christian. As of right now, on playmaking. But again, they don't have to put themselves in situation. And I put Julian first because they've ran sets where he's the point guard. They've put him at the point guard position. But also they have done that with Christian Braun too, because they want a defensive only team. And then also I feel like Peyton kind of gets tunnel vision when he makes up his mind and he's just gonna go. And he's gonna either get fouled or score a basket, but he doesn't have to explore his game in those same type of ways.
Yeah, I'm really excited about Julian getting chance to to ball handle a lot this season, because I've seen the evolution of Bogdan Bogdanović back in his days when he was playing in Partizan Belgrade. He was a shooting guard, one of the most talented shooting guards in Europe, but then one season, and he was like 20 years old back then, all of their point guards got hurt, got injured for full seasons, and he was pushed into a point guard position. And that was actually the point when he made the biggest leap of his career. Like when he was forced into being a playmaker, he really upped his skill. Wait, do you think that we can expect Julian to be like a secondary ball handler in significant minutes by the end of this season?
I mean, possibly, but I would say like in spurts. I feel like he's a very good decision maker, but I think if you make him the primary ball handler for like an entire stint, with Jamal coming up the floor, like say, if Reggie's not available, I don't feel too confident in that from a rookie on a defending championship team. But in spurts, a few plays down, if they decide to run a few things through him, I do like, he has a good floater game. He knows how to find the guy in the right pockets. But him running an offense, I feel like that's a lot to put on him, at least this year. But I do see that maybe somewhere down the line he could become that kind of player.
I was salivating. That was 2 days ago when Adam showed that stat for Julian being like the most efficient handoff guy in the whole league, which was pretty amazing. Dev, how does Calvin Booth find these guys?
It seems like he has like a operation. Like it's just like a math. He just like these are the three things that I really like. If you have those three things, it's going to matter for him, and he's just going to go after it. As well as if you're just able to play really good basketball with size and be a good defender. Like he just seems to go after certain type of guys. But also he does his homework. He's getting out to games. He's taking chances on people that other people aren't taking chances on. So like there is like there's a method to the madness.
Yeah, I agree with that. Okay, let's take one more short break and then we'll move to some other right at this moment more important guys. Don't go anywhere. Okay, let's now move to the three guys that are part of the core four: Jamal Murray, Michael Porter, and Aaron Gordon. Now, all three of these guys have had an up and down season so far for different reasons. Like Jamal is the most obvious one because he missed a lot of games this season. But even in those games when he was playing healthy, he wasn't scoring in bunches. He did start as a really good facilitator at the beginning, but even that faded off a bit lately. Wait, how do you see Jamal's season so far?
I would say it's a bit underwhelming. Given what we saw from him coming out, off that playoff run. But at the same time, it's kind of almost expected because of the player he always comes into the season as, and he kind of builds up to that point. But even with that being said, I do think it's a little under the standard that he's set for himself over the last, at least last season, at the start of the year, coming back off the ACL injury. So I guess there's more room for growth with that being said. But yeah, I would just say underwhelming so far.
Dev, how did you see Jamal so far?
I think he's having as normal as a season as he always has. And then the thing is, we are just so used to what he looks like in the playoffs, and we're just coming off of an incredible playoff run that no one has had. Like he really ups his level so much that you feel like that's how he should always be playing, and it's just hard to like unsee that. So I do think this is a normal year for him. There is the health concerns, I would say, because he did not have those last year, and that was coming back off of an injury. And every time he went down, everybody held their breath. So I think that you're starting to see that a bit more now. But you also know that it's going to come. He's going to have some eruption games. He's going to get back into himself. I really still feel like he's out of shape. I don't think that he's in the right playing shape right now. And that usually comes when the season gets fully underway. Maybe the middle of the season, we're going to see him start turning him to himself. And we know what he is in the playoffs.
Why do you think he takes so much time to get into shape every season?
Because of how much of a competitor he is. I think that he really wants to be in tip-top shape at the end of the year. Like that's when mentally he's doubted. That's when everyone else is like slowing down and he isn't. And then also I think that just coming off of a long year, it just took a while for him to get active. Like I think he took some real time off. He accomplished the one goal that he really did want. And until he sets another one that's higher, maybe he wants to make an all-star soon, then he goes back to that. Or maybe there's some doubters, then he goes back to that. But I do think that it was just such a long season that he took time off.
So wait, right now Jamal is, let me see, his average right now is 18 points, which is the fewest since his second season. And his assist numbers are slightly below what he was last season, although that was his best season so far at 6. So where do you expect those numbers to settle by the end of the season? 18 and 6 right now.
I think he'll get it right up to 20. I do know that one game he got hurt. It was very early and it kind of tanked his averages. So I think he'll get it back to about 20 points, maybe 7 assists by the end of the year, if not more. It's like it's like a snowball with him. He just keeps getting better as the year goes on. So I see the same thing happening for him this year.
Yeah, I'll go to around like 21-7. We really have not had one of those like 40-point outings. He's going to have a random maybe 50 ball, especially how everybody else is getting them. But we do have to expect that those type of games are like coming. And also, if you think that he's having an underwhelming season or not playing up to par and he's going through these injuries, think about he's already at that average now. He's going to start playing better. He's going to start attacking more. And I really do think a lot of it also has to do with how Denver's playing. They're really like a slow-paced, methodical team. There are going to be times that they're going to have to speed it up. They're going to go through these same type of stretches that we're seeing in Embiid and those type of teams get to go through where you have a soft schedule. You're going to start playing more home games. You're not playing so many back-to-backs. The schedule's about to get, unfavor, like on par with them too. That they're going to be able to start getting it going. So I do expect like everybody's numbers to go up. So.
Okay. Yeah. 21-7. That sounds a bit optimistic, but I think it's something completely manageable for him. That just means that he would need to be like 24-8 for the rest of season or 7.5 to get there. And of course, he can do it. Let's now move to Aaron Gordon. Aaron Gordon started the season pretty strong, but then he kind of tapered away. Like it feels like he lowered his intensity on both sides of the court, and at some point he wasn't even trying to push the ball into the rim as he usually does. He was shooting a lot of mid-range shots and 3-pointers, but lately he's been better. Wade, he's right now at 13 points, which would be his second least. The only time he had less was when he just came to Denver and he was just happy to be there. But in the last 3 seasons, this is his lowest point total. His rebounds are actually up 7.2 right now, and 3.6 assists is also his biggest number so far. Where do you see, how did you see him so far, and where do you see him going forward?
With him, I think it's his as far as I think the injury, whatever the heel thing he was dealing with was bothering him. He had a few down games, and the next thing you know, he showed up on the injury report, and then I think he missed 2 games in a row. And then when he came back, he kind of had that burst and that different look to him. So I think with him as well, he'll improve as the year goes on. His assist numbers will probably go up a little bit, and I think he'll probably get closer to 15 points a night towards the end of the year.
What did you see, Dev, so far?
I feel like with Aaron Gordon, he's like really one of those mental guys. Like everything with him is like vibes and like his mental like part of the game is where he started to get bored and he was not as engaged. Also, those type of guys, like they ride waves. Like when things are up, they're great. When things are down, they're not. His shot was not falling. He was not scoring a lot. And you've seen everything else start to wane. His energy was down. He's not being as aggressive on the boards and things. And also, I think that injury did have to do with it because after he's taken those, couple games off, he looks back. He looks like he's ready for the season. He's quietly getting good numbers now. He's like sneakily putting up monster games without actually having to expand his game. He's not shooting threes the same way. He's dunking every single thing that comes his way. And he's also not tired every single game from chasing guys around on defense anymore because they have KCP, they have Peyton Watson, they have Christian Browns and things like that. So I do think that he's also starting to start feeling like himself.
So 2 seasons ago, he had an effective field goal percentage of 57. Last season, he was at 60% effective field goal percentage. But this season, he is only at 52. And what's even worse than that, his free throw percentage is lowest of his career. He is just at 56%. percent. He's never been a great free throw shooter, never above like 73, 74%, but 56. That's like slightly better than Giant Honey, DeAndre Jordan. Dev, do you see a chance for him to improve at least at the free throw line this season?
Yep. It's a great question. And here's why. They're about to start playing at home. Do you know what he has in his home? A basketball court. He gets to go downstairs more often and shoot free throws. They've been on the road. He hasn't been able to get his shots up in the same type of ways. He has to go in these random gyms. He's about to be at home a lot more and shooting free throws. Also, like, he has to know that that's the part of the game that, like, he's giving away points. Like, they're going to start fouling him. They are going to just start trying to hit him and get him to the free throw line. So he has to be able to consistently hit that. So I do think that he is going to start being into that part of his game, and we're going to see better numbers from him. So I do expect his numbers to be up.
Wait, why do you think Aaron Gordon is shooting so horribly this season?
I think it's just like Dev said earlier, just the rhythm of the team and how things are going as far as the vibes. He does kind of play into how things are going. If you look back at like the playoff runs with no Murray and how, like, quote unquote bad he looked, because of how bad things were going with the team. And then once things picked up, it was just as important as he was to the down years. He was equally important as to the championship run we had last year. So as the team picks things up, and we get these run of these home games under, I think he'll start to improve at the line and from the field as well.
Okay, let's now move to Michael Porter Jr., always my favorite player to talk about. So in 2020-2021 season, he was averaging 19 points per game. Then he got injured in the season after that, took a full season to recover. Last season was his most mature season of his career, 17.4 points and 5.5 rebounds. This season, he's almost at that point at 16.8 points per game, but his rebounds are through the roof at 8 rebounds per game. We are even seeing a shy 1.5 assists from him. Wait, do you expect Michael to score more for the rest of the season, or do you think this might be his shooting slot?
For him, I think this might be it. Like, if Murray and Gordon improve and are to put up more, there's only but so many points that can go around, and Jokić is at 27 this year. But as you mentioned earlier, he had a mature year last year, and this year I think he's like, he's trying to be as complete as possible. I kind of want him to shoot more shots and just be a little unconscious with it. Just let the ball fly a little bit. It's a lot of just catching and trying to make a move and maybe overthinking it a bit. I kind of wish he would just just get up 8 or 9 threes in a game and let that be the consistent what to expect from him. And with that, you'll see his points go up, but I think it's just he's taking himself out of his own rhythms, trying to do things for the team, and I think it's losing a bit of what we all loved about him early on in his career. I still love what he's given us, though, by the way. Like, don't get me wrong, but I think where he's at is kind of where he'll be for this season.
The day I'm going to be the happiest is the day that Michael Malone comes out and says, we want Mike to shoot at least 10 3-pointers a game. That's what, that's what, I don't remember the team. I think it was Cleveland. Mike Miller was with LeBron, and they said, you have to shoot this many shots a game. And they were forcing him to take those type of shots. I can't wait till Michael Malone gets to that part, and also Michael Porter Jr. gets to that part where that's just part of the offense, that they're like, hey, you're so good of a shooter that we want you to let him fly, because he is his up and down. And also I think that that's where he struggles with is I want to be part of the team and, going through my progressions, but also I want to step out and be able to shoot, because there is no bad shot for Michael Porter Jr. There's no contested shot. He could shoot over anybody. And we are now starting to see like what type of shot creator he is. He's doing step backs. He's doing side steps. He's knocking down everything. But he gets down on himself, or he wants to be so part of the offense that he doesn't take all of those unconscious shots, and he needs to be an unconscious shooter. So I can't wait till we get to that part. But I do love the fact that he's so engaged on grabbing every single rebound. It does suck he's taking him away from Jokić, but also there's another rebounder out there that you just feel confident about because he has the size, he has the length, he has the athleticism to just be able to go as well after. And then also I think that once he starts to get more confident in being part of the offense, that's when the scoring is going to have his huge 30-point games, huge 40-point games. We're going to have more Mike moments. And I miss those. I miss those so much.
So I feel like his 3-point percentage fluctuates so much because he has turned himself into a pretty streaky shooter. He is either shooting 1 of 6 or 5 of 6 every night. Do you think, Dev, that upping his volume would even that out a bit and just make him more consistent?
Yeah, more consistent, but also just like more confident. And he's a really confident shooter because he knows how good of a shooter he is. But when you know that like your guys got your back because you're supposed to take those shots, or they're trying to find you a bit more, your confidence goes. You have the ultimate green light, and he's the best shooter on the team without a bright green light. So like think about like a yellow light being the best shooter on the team. That's like a crazy type of confident shooter to be, but you're also taken away from what got you there. You're taken away from that weapon that you really should have. So I want him to get to that point, and that comes with more shots.
So wait, you're a stats guy. Give me your best case scenario for Michael Porter, percentage wise and volume wise, like for his peak.
For his career, for the rest of the season.
like the best season of his career.
Yeah, I would say the best season, I would say 9 or more attempts a night at like 41% shooting. I think this year he's under 40%, and he's not I mean, I'm not gonna say he's nowhere near 9, but he's like at like seven attempts a game.
Yeah.
So I think 2 or 3 more threes a night, and that'll help with his rhythm, and I think that'll help with his percentage as well. So I would say 41%, 9 to 10 shots, threes a night, and I think that'll be part of one of his best career years if he can put that together.
Now I have to tell you guys why I've spent this whole segment on Michael, Jamal, and Aaron, and it's the fact that I want to ask you: is it time to kiss goodbye the hope to have more than one All-Star player this season? Like with Jamal missing all that time and Gordon being, up and down, Michael as well. Can we realistically expect them to climb enough by the end of All-Star voting to get another guy on All-Star?
If they do get it, it would have to be as like a reserve. Like somebody goes down with an injury or something like that, and then they get voted in or something like that. It can't be just like straight votes or because of like the production that they're having. Because first, they're not as popular as a team. Like people are just not voting for them in the same type of ways. But also like Jamal is already close to like the injury portion of it all. So that like is already taken its toll, but his numbers are not the same. There's been some crazy numbers getting put up in the NBA this year.
Yeah.
Where new guys are stepping into it and having these monster nights where that's going to stick on a lot of people's minds. So I don't think that it's there for Jamal, but also Aaron Gordon. He's not ever a guy that's going to get that same type of attention, even though he deserves it. Same with like KCP on like defensive player of the year. He's never on there, even though that he's a tough assignment every single night. The guys that are getting all of these numbers are going crazy every single game. They know when they come to Denver, they have to go against KCP. That should be enough. You think SGA doesn't think that this is all defensive type of player that he's going against? If he returns on Monday against Luka, it's going to be another guy. He's like, all right, they have guys over there that can slow me down. But I just think that it's tough for everyone else to see that. We follow the team. We see the team a little bit more. So, of course, we're biased. But to the outside world, I don't think it's the same.
What do you say, Wade?
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with that. Small market, no one cares. I mean, I'm still surprised that Jokic was able to get 2 MVPs out of his career playing in Denver. It just shows how much greater he has to be to even be in those type of discussions. But yeah, as far as the All-Star talk, you kind of have to go above and beyond in this market, as a Nugget, and the injuries and the inconsistencies. I think it's going to hurt those three this year. But they could get in by a long shot. Murray strings together a crazy run, 25, 5-5 or something from now until late January, or for the next 5 to 6 weeks. Maybe it can get interesting, but I don't see it happening this year.
Yeah, I agree with Dev takes. It must be an injury replacement because we've seen those kind of guys like Utah having three All-Stars, while none of them are really super high level. Just a chance for one of the top teams to get the second All-Star. I believe that's the most possible bet this season. Okay, let's take one last break and then we'll play one hopefully fun game. Don't go anywhere. Okay, it is time to end the week on a high note, I hope. So we're going to play a game called LMNOP. So yeah, that sounds crazy. So let me explain. L is for Larry, M is for Magic, N is for Nikola, over playoffs. So I'm going to give you a series of questions, and you will tell me if this stat belongs to Nikola, Larry, or Magic. That sounds simple, and you can answer together. I don't care. I'm not keeping tally. We're just having fun. So, first question, and here's a nice picture. It took me whole 5 minutes to do this part. So, guys, tell me, who has the most career playoff 3-point attempts out of these three guys?
I'm gonna go Larry.
I'll go with Jokic on that one.
It is Jokic. It's not by a lot, but man, Larry didn't have a super long career, but he still played like for 12 seasons, something like that. And Nikola is already above him, even though we say he's not shooting a lot of threes. Well, in playoffs, he's actually shooting quite a lot of threes comparing to regular season. Yeah, that was the first one. That was a bit surprising to me. Let's go to the second one. Who has the most career playoff 3-pointers made?
I'm gonna go right back to Larry.
Yeah, same. I'm going to agree.
Yeah, you would think that, but Nikola is number one there as well. It's not really close. It's 124 to 80, and Magic Johnson 51. Not really a 3-point shooter. Okay, next one. Now, if you watch the numbers, now you would probably know the answer here. Who has the highest playoff 3-point percentage of these three guys?
I'm gonna go Nikola.
Yeah, it's going to go Jokic. Yeah.
41.2 to Larry's only 32%
That's insane.
3-point shooting in the playoff. Yeah, I guess it was a different kind of defense back in the 80s on the 3-point shot. And of course, I think he had only like 1.5 3-point attempts per game. So it wasn't as easy to get into rhythm on that low volume. Okay, we have, I believe, 3 more. We'll see. So who has the highest playoff points per game out of these 3?
Oh man, that's tough.
I'm gonna have to go Jokic. I know he's top 10 all time right now if he were to retire. So I'm gonna go Jokic.
Yeah, I'm gonna follow Nikola.
Yes, and it's not really close. 27.5, 23.8 for Larry, and 19.5 for Magic. By the way, I'm comparing Nikola to these two guys because they are my favorite comps for Jokic historically. I always felt like he is a hybrid of these two, just a 7-foot tall hybrid of these two. Okay, next one. Who has the highest playoff field goal attempts per game? So per game, not total, per game.
This time I'm going back.
Who is the biggest chucker here?
Larry.
Yeah, I'm going back to Larry.
Yeah, I would think so. It's again Nikola.
Oh, that was
19
close.
points. 19.
This-
Yeah, it is close.
This
It
is
is
a
close.
trick game.
To be fair, it is close.
The
19
game should be
points.
called Nikola wins.
Yeah. So 20 shots for Nikola, 19 for
NWA.
Larry.
Nikola wins again.
Only 13.4 for Magic. I guess he was a true point guard. Okay, and I believe we have one more. No, we don't. This is the last one. Then that's maybe the craziest one. Like Nikola is the biggest chucker of them all, and he has made the most points of them all in his playoff career. I guess you can say that it is because the stats are a bit inflated right now because of the 3-point shot and everything, and kind of a different approach to defense, I guess. But yeah, those are pretty sweet numbers.
I like to look at that game, or just like the idea of how great Larry Bird was and how he ranks on the top, 25 players of all time. And like you throw in Jokić, and those were playoff numbers. And that's where a lot of these guys get where they become legend, Larry Legend. You become that based off of how you do in the playoffs and bringing in championships. And you can't do that. If Jokić doesn't win the championship last year, they're going to treat him as if he's just a regular guy. But since he got that now, you get to put him with the legends. You get to see the type of impact that he has. And those are against guys that those are household names. Larry Bird, Magic Johnson. Nikola has to be in there. And upping those in the playoffs and making it that much more important shows what type of impact he has on his team, on the game of basketball. He's a top 20 of all time, and he's pushing to be top 10.
Yeah, so wait, Magic and Bird, they're definitely top 10 all time on most people's lists. So how many more championships does Nikola need to get into that same stratosphere?
I would say, honestly, me speaking, as a biased Nuggets fan, I would just say just one more, giving the market that he's in the state of the NBA right now. Back then it was Lakers, Celtics every year for almost a decade. So given how much more competitive the NBA is now and how hard it is to string together a dynasty or to be that one great player in an era, I would say one. But to make it, really official, I would say if he retires with 3 championships and keeping those numbers at that level, I think he'll be top 10 without a doubt.
Yeah,
is that enough, Dev?
If he got to 3, I think you're gonna push him close to people's top 5. Really, it's undeniable if he got to 3. I think that one more is all you need because you're already higher than them in all the stats. You're already better than them. But it also that was a different time, and like you said, they were playing each other every single year. You already knew who was going to be there. So the numbers that he's putting up right now really that's some legendary stuff. That is where you could put it, but that the goalpost always moves when it comes to Jokić and the type of player that he is. So he's going to have to do 3 for it to really count.
Yeah, I think 3 is the minimum for that kind of conversation about him. But of course, I agree with Wade. In my heart, he's already there. But we'll just need some more hardware to show for. Okay, that will be all for this episode of Serbian Corner. And since next week is Christmas, and I don't want to bother you guys on Christmas, and the one after that is New Year, and New Year is my favorite holiday, I'll be seeing you again in 3 weeks on the Serbian Christmas Eve on January 6th. That will be the beginning of the 3rd season of the show, and I promise you the 3rd one will be more epic than the first 2. I have something special brewing for April, but more about that when we get closer to that. I wish a wonderful season greetings to everyone, and I'll see you all next year. Idemo Nuggetsi.